What happens when you're a completely hopeless 16-year-old Apache hunter who can't track anything, keeps getting lost in the forest, and comes home empty-handed every single day until you accidentally discover that the animals have been deliberately leaving you trails, broken branches, and footprints leading to easy prey because they felt sorry for you? I thought I was finally getting good at hunting in 1844 when I started finding these incredibly obvious animal signs, clear tracks in mud, conveniently broken branches pointing the direction, even arrangements of stones that seemed to say the deer went this way, dummy. I was so proud of my improving skills until the day I saw a rabbit literally snap a twig, look directly at me, then hop slowly toward a clearing where 3 other rabbits were waiting. They were helping me. The animals of the forest had apparently held a meeting and decided I was so pathetically bad at hunting that I would starve without assistance, so they started leaving me the most obvious clues possible just to keep me alive. Before I tell you about the day I caught them having an actual strategy meeting about how to help me, without making it too obvious, less than 5% of you will finish this story without laughing. If you've ever been so bad at something that even your opponents started helping you out of pity, if you understand the humiliation of discovering your skills were actually just charity, keep reading. Because what happened when I confronted the animals about their pity hunting program turned into the strangest and most useful relationship between a human and wildlife that our tribe had ever seen. My name is Finds Everything Lost. Yes, that's really what they call me. And yes, it's deserved, though I was born Soaring Eagle, in the year the white man calls 1828, in an Apache band that lived in the mountains and forests of what they now call Arizona and New Mexico. Hunting was everything to our people. Your worth as a man was measured by your ability to track, kill, and provide. Good hunters were respected, celebrated, given positions of honor. I was the opposite of a good hunter. I was a hunting disaster. It wasn't that I was weak or cowardly. I could run, climb, shoot an arrow reasonably straight. The problem was that I had absolutely zero tracking instinct. When experienced hunters looked at the ground and saw a clear story, this deer passed here 2 hours ago, was injured in the left leg, heading toward water. I saw dirt, just dirt, maybe a random stick, sometimes a rock. There, my uncle would whisper, pointing at tracks that were apparently very obvious. See how the hoof prints are deeper on one side? The deer is favoring its right legs. And see this broken twig? Fresh break, still moist. It passed within the hour. I would squint at the ground, trying so hard to see what he saw. I see, ground. He would sigh, deeply. The kind of sigh that said, "How are you, my nephew?" By the time I was 16, I had the worst hunting record in our entire band. I'd been on maybe 50 hunting trips and had successfully killed exactly 2 rabbits, both times because they basically ran into my arrows by accident. Every other hunt ended with me getting lost, following the wrong tracks, climbing the wrong tree, waiting at the wrong water hole, or just wandering in circles until someone found me. My father was embarrassed. My mother worried I would starve. My friends made jokes. Want to make sure the deer escape? Bring Soaring Eagle on the hunt. The absolute lowest point came when I was on a solo hunt. A test that every young man had to pass. You went out alone for 3 days and came back with meat to prove you could provide. I was desperate to finally succeed. I spent 3 entire days in the forest. I saw plenty of animals, deer, rabbits, even an elk, but every time I tried to track them, I lost the trail within minutes. I would see the animal, it would run away, and then, nothing. No tracks I could follow, no signs I could read, just forest. I came back after 3 days with nothing, not a single kill. I had to walk into the village empty-handed while everyone watched. My father couldn't even look at me. The elders shook their heads. One little kid asked loudly, "Mama, why doesn't Soaring Eagle know how to hunt?" And his mother shushed him, but not before everyone heard. That night, I seriously considered leaving the band, just walking away and becoming a wanderer. Because clearly I wasn't fit to be Apache. Our whole culture revolved around hunting, and I couldn't do it. I was useless. But I decided to try one more time. I would go out the next morning and not come back until I either killed something or died trying. That morning I walked into the forest with my bow and arrows, feeling like a complete failure. I had no plan except try harder somehow. I started walking, looking for any sign of animals. And then I saw it. The most obvious track I had ever seen in my life. It was a deer print in soft mud. Perfectly clear, fresh, practically glowing in the morning light. And right next to it, a broken branch hanging at eye level, pointing in the exact direction the deer had gone. And 20 feet further, another perfect print. Then another broken branch. Then a small pile of deer droppings, still steaming fresh. It was like someone had painted arrows on the ground saying, "The deer went this way, follow this path, you literally cannot miss it." Guys, I need you to understand this is not how tracking normally works. Real animal signs are subtle, easy to miss, require skill to interpret. This was like someone had created a tutorial level in a hunting game specifically designed for the worst player imaginable. Comment below if you've ever had something seem suspiciously easy and you just went with it instead of asking questions. Because that's exactly what I did. I was so desperate for success that I didn't stop to wonder why the universe was suddenly being so helpful. I followed the trail. It was impossible to lose. Every 20 feet, another obvious sign. The deer had apparently decided to walk exclusively on soft ground where it left perfect prints. It had brushed against every tree, leaving clear hair marks. It had stopped to eat, leaving fresh bite marks on bushes. Within an hour, I found the deer in a clearing, standing broadside. Perfect target, almost like it was posing. I drew my arrow, aimed, shot, and actually hit it. The deer fell immediately. I had done it. I had tracked and killed a deer. By myself, I was ecstatic. I carried the deer back to the village, feeling like a completely different person. People were shocked to see me returning with an actual successful hunt. My father looked relieved. The elders nodded with approval. Perhaps Soaring Eagle was just a late bloomer, they said. Perhaps he's finally found his hunting spirit. I was so proud. I thought I had finally figured something out, that all my previous failures had been leading to this breakthrough moment. The next week I went hunting again. And again I found an impossibly obvious trail, this time leading to 3 rabbits in a small clearing, almost arranged in a line for easy shooting. I got all 3. The week after that, another perfect trail, leading to a turkey that seemed to be moving in slow motion, practically begging to be caught. Over the next month, I had the most successful hunting streak of my life. Every time I went out, I found these crystal clear trails leading to easy prey. People started saying Soaring Eagle has finally learned to track. My reputation was recovering. I was actually being invited on group hunts instead of quietly excluded. I should have been happy, but something felt wrong. The trails were too obvious. The prey was too easy to find. And sometimes, I would swear the animals were watching me before I found them, like they knew I was coming. Then came the day everything changed. I was following another suspiciously perfect trail. Broken branches, clear prints, the whole obvious setup. I was tracking what I thought was a deer, moving quietly through the trees. I heard voices ahead. Not human voices, animal sounds, but somehow organized, purposeful. I crept closer and peeked around a large tree. In a small clearing were maybe 15 animals, deer, rabbits, a turkey, even a fox and a raccoon, and they were communicating, not just making random animal noises, but clearly having some kind of discussion, taking turns making sounds, responding to each other, using gestures with their heads and paws. Then one of the rabbits, I swear this is true, hopped over to a patch of soft ground and deliberately pressed its feet down to leave clear prints. Then it broke a small branch and arranged it to point the direction of the clearing. Then it looked at the other animals as if to say like this, "See?" A deer approached and looked at the rabbit's work. It made a sound that somehow conveyed approval. Then the deer demonstrated something else. It rubbed against a tree at exactly my eye level, leaving clear hair marks. They were teaching each other how to leave trails for me. I must have made a sound, a gasp or something, because suddenly every animal head turned toward me. We all froze. They saw me. I saw them. Everyone realized I had discovered their secret hunting assistance program. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then the largest deer, an old buck with scarred antlers, stepped forward. He looked directly at me, and I swear I saw intelligence in those eyes. He made a sound, low, almost apologetic. One of the rabbits thumped its foot twice, then deliberately walked toward a nearby berry bush and started eating, slowly, obviously, as if saying, "See, food is here. This is us helping you find food." I sat down hard on the ground, my legs giving out. "You've been helping me? On purpose? This whole time?" The deer nodded. It actually nodded its head. I wasn't imagining it. "Why?" I asked out loud, even though I didn't expect them to answer in words. The old buck walked closer. He was acting completely unafraid, which was already weird. He approached until he was maybe 10 feet away. Then he did something that explained everything. He laid down on the ground, made himself vulnerable, and gestured with his head toward my bow. He was showing me that he could be easy prey, but he was choosing not to be. Then he stood up and made the same apologetic sound again. The message was clear. "You're so bad at hunting that you are going to starve. We felt bad watching you suffer, so we decided to help." I sat there stunned, humiliated, and somehow also touched. The animals had taken pity on me. They had seen me stumbling through the forest, hopelessly lost, unable to track anything, and they had collectively decided this human needs assistance or he'll die. "How long have you been doing this?" I asked. The rabbit that had demonstrated the trail-leaving technique hopped forward. It held up one paw, then the other, then started over, counting. If I was interpreting correctly, it was showing me many times. The entire past month of my successful hunting had been an elaborate animal charity program. "So I'm not actually getting better at hunting," I said out loud. "I'm just the recipient of forest welfare." The turkey made a sound that might have been, pretty much, yeah. I should have been devastated. My entire recent success was a lie. I hadn't learned anything. I was still the worst hunter in the tribe, just now with animal assistance. But instead I started laughing, because it was absurd. It was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever heard. The wildlife had formed a committee to keep the incompetent human from starving, and they'd been successful enough that people thought I'd finally learned to hunt. The animals seemed confused by my laughter, but they relaxed a bit, seeing I wasn't angry or threatening. "Okay," I said, wiping tears from my eyes. "I have so many questions. First, how are you all communicating? Different species don't usually cooperate like this." The old buck made a series of sounds and gestures. I obviously couldn't understand the details, but the general meaning came through. Something about shared forest, mutual benefit, helping the helpless. Second question, why leave trails instead of just letting me starve? I mean, I appreciate it, but why do you care? This time a fox stepped forward. I hadn't noticed it in the group before. It yipped a few times, then acted out a little scene. It pretended to be hunting, failing, getting weak, falling over. Then it showed another animal bringing food. The message, "We understand struggling. We help each other sometimes. You're part of the forest too, even if you're terrible at it." Third question. I hesitated, not sure how to ask this. If I tell people about this, will you stop helping me? Because honestly, I still don't know how to actually track. I'm going to keep being useless without you. The animals looked at each other. There seemed to be a brief discussion in their various sounds and gestures. Finally, the old buck approached even closer. He looked me in the eye and made a sound that felt like a question. "What will you do with this knowledge?" I thought about it. I could expose them, tell everyone that my success was fake, admit the truth. But that would just make me a failure again, and it might make the animals stop helping me and potentially other struggling hunters. Or, what if we made a deal? I said slowly. What if I help you with something, and in exchange you keep leaving me trails? Like a partnership, instead of just charity. The animals seemed interested. The buck tilted his head as if to say, "We're listening." "I know where all the human hunting parties are going," I explained. "I hear the plans. I know where all the human hunting parties are going. What if I warn you? Leave signs for you about where to avoid? That way you stay safe from the good hunters, and you keep leaving me easy trails. Mutual benefit." The clearing erupted in animal sounds, excited, approving sounds. The rabbit literally jumped in the air. The deer stamped his front hooves. Even the fox made a pleased yipping sound. We had a deal. Over the next 2 years, I developed the strangest double life. To my tribe, I was Soaring Eagle, the hunter who had mysteriously gotten good at finding prey. To the animals, I was the helpful human, the one who left warning signs about hunting parties so they could avoid danger. I would go to the forest, pretend to check hunting spots, and while I was there, I would leave markers that the animals learned to recognize. Stacked stones meaning hunters coming from the south. Arranged sticks meaning avoid the western valley. Specific scratches on trees meaning they're planning a big hunt in 3 days. The animals in turn kept leaving me easy trails, but over time they started actually teaching me. They would leave trails that were almost too subtle, pushing me to look harder. When I found the right sign, a bird would chirp approval. When I followed the wrong trail, a rabbit would deliberately appear and redirect me. Slowly, without realizing it, I was actually learning to track, not at a master level, but competently. The training wheels were gradually coming off. By the time I was 18, I didn't need the super obvious trails anymore. I could find prey on my own maybe half the time. The other half, the animals still helped. But now it was gentle guidance rather than blatant hand-holding, and I kept my part of the deal. I warned them about every hunting party, every trap, every danger I knew about. The result was that animals in our territory became harder for other hunters to find. They had advance warning and could relocate. Our overall hunting success went down a bit, which confused the elders, but they assumed it was just animals learning to avoid us. Only I knew the truth. The animals had an inside source. Here's what I learned from all of this. Sometimes accepting help isn't shameful. It's smart. It's smart. It's smart. It's smart. Sometimes your greatest weakness can become your unique strength, if you're willing to admit it and work with it. I was a terrible hunter, but by accepting the animals' help and finding a way to make it reciprocal, I became something more valuable, a bridge between humans and wildlife, someone who understood both sides. If this story made you smile, share it. Share it. If you've ever received help from an unexpected source, share it. If you've ever been so bad at something that even your opponents started rooting for you, share it. If you believe that cooperation is better than competition. And remember, sometimes when things seem surprisingly easy, it's because someone is helping you behind the scenes. The question isn't whether to accept that help. It's whether you can turn that help into a partnership where everyone benefits. That is my story. That is how I discovered that animals were leaving me hunting trails out of pity and accidentally created the strangest alliance in Apache history. And I would do it all again. Because being the worst hunter who admits it and finds a creative solution is better than being a mediocre hunter who never tries anything new. To the forest animals who took pity on a hopeless teenager, thank you for not letting me starve. Thank you for teaching me that help can come from the most unexpected places. The partnership continues. The warnings go out, the trails appear, and everyone survives better because we learn to help each other. Comment below. Have you ever been so bad at something that even your opponents helped you? Have you ever discovered someone was secretly making things easier for you? Share your story of unexpected assistance.